Alright, so let's talk some low carb dieting. My favorite topic, or one of my favorite topics. Alright, so first of all, what is a low carb diet? Okay, it is a diet that is restrictive in its consumption of carbohydrates. Most prominently potatoes, white starches, um, breads, sweets, desserts, fruits, anything that contains starch and sugar is a no-no on this diet, okay? Basically what they have you do on a low carb diet is cut out all the guilt foods. Yeah, you know the ones I'm talking about, and replace it with meat. Okay, high protein consumption, usually high fat consumption, because they advocate eating, you know, bacon to your filling. Okay, and basically this forces your body to go into a state of ketosis, which is basically forcing your body to um, use its saved up um, fat storages for energy. Okay, it breaks down the fat into ketone bodies, which it therefore in turn uses as energy. Now the problem with this is that once you get to a certain point on the diet, you start to smell kind of funky because all the ketones accumulate and they don't smell too good. Okay, and also you feel a crash because once your body burns through the first initial stage of fat, which is also known as the rapid weight loss for the people who go on this type of diet, you feel a crash in energy. You really basically are crippled. You can't work out. It's hard to work out because your body relies on glycogen, which is stored energy in the form of carbohydrates. We store excess carbohydrates in our liver and in our muscle cells, okay, for anaerobic and aerobic activities. Um, so basically, if you're going to try and do cardio, which is an aerobic activity, you're going to be SOL because um, you rely on the building blocks of energy, which are carbohydrates, to fuel strenuous activities. So if you don't have any sufficient carbs coming in, and you're just using whatever body fat that you have, your body was not originally designed to work like this. Okay, it was designed to intake carbohydrates at a moderate amount, so you have just enough stored for use, and so you wouldn't get excessively overweight like you see the people who are going on these low carb diets. Okay, and the other bad thing about low carb dieting is that constipation is a big problem because um, you're not, first of all, you're not eating a lot of foods that you usually eat, so your body is kind of in a state of shock, and it's also in a state of high stress because your body was not meant to be in a state of ketosis all the time, 24/7. Basically, it's in a carb starvation mode, so it's turning to a source of fuel that it usually does not have to rely on. So that places more stress on your system than you're already placing with the decrease in the carbs. And so if you're going to go on a low carb diet, I recommend a carb supplement like Consul is a good one. You can find this at Walmart. Um, Also, another big problem with low carb dieting is plateauing. Um, Plateauing is when you come to a certain point in ketosis when the ketone bodies do not provide as much energy as they did originally when you induce ketosis. Okay, so your body has adapted and they can't draw on as much energy as they um, as it originally did in the beginning, and so therefore your energy levels drop even lower. Your body senses that it needs energy, it needs carbs, it sends craving signals, you know, and so that makes you want to eat carbs. Okay, and that's um, another big problem with patients who go on low carb diets. They have cravings. What they do, they binge. And when they binge, they just go on an all-out carb binge. Anything, candy, pasta, cake, pies, cookies, anything. Because the body doesn't matter what kind of carbs at this point. It just wants carbs, period. Okay? Doesn't matter if it's a good carb or a bad carb. Like I mentioned in the previous video, it just wants carbs overall to fuel itself because it doesn't want to starve. It's a survival mechanism. Your body is a survival mechanism. It doesn't want to die. And so basically after this binge, you basically put back on all the glycogen in your system. So once again, you have to deplete this again, and usually to deplete, fully deplete your system of glycogen takes about 3 days or one good day of fasting. 1 or 1.5 days of fasting will usually get your glycogen levels down enough so you can induce ketosis again. I mean, low carb diets are pretty drastic because people were meant to eat carbohydrates, and if you totally cut out carbohydrates from your diet, your body's going to overcompensate with something unnatural. Okay, so what I recommend is if you're considering a low carb approach, is do either 2 days off, 1 day on, where you replenish the energy stores in your body so you can keep working out. I mean, another basic step of losing weight is just exercising. If you don't have energy to exercise on this low carb diet, how are you going to lose weight? I mean, you can't. So, I mean, it's kind of a vicious cycle. And the last point I wanted to make about low carb dieting is that the initial weight loss comes from not only ketosis but a loss of water, because when you store fat as energy in your body, fat is hydrophobic, meaning it does not want to retain the water. Okay, that's why we use fat as a storage mechanism rather than carbohydrates, because carbohydrates have an affinity. They love water. So if we were to use carbohydrates as our main source of energy, we would not be moving around at all because we'd be so waterlogged. So initially you lose weight from getting rid of excess water and using some of the excess fat that you have. But in the long run, low carb diets just lead to wrecking of your psychology, because you're just gonna crave more carbs, and that just is gonna lead to binging and wrecking your new healthy lifestyle that you think is going to happen with a low carb diet, but it's actually not. So basically, consider a lifestyle change rather than a just diet. Okay, diet is short term, not long term. But I could go on about the connotation of diet for a while, but that's a video in itself. So, just something for you to think about. All of you guys, thinking about going on a low carb diet. If you do, good luck. Maybe you'll take something away from this video, maybe not. So that's all I gotta say about that.